And then I'll have my headphones in just right before the start of the match.
So we're not. You can still hear me. Currently.
Yeah, right now I can. Yeah.
But I told him I can't do every week and I can't do every school, but I'm trying to get him started.
Are you playing Mateo this round?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully he'll be receptive.
Oh, it's not the I had a nicer pen. And you have access to the chat, right?
Me?
Yeah, I think. Is there a way to see the chat? Or is
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
It was like a rook skin on the night, and I was trying to hold on to the feet, and my feet
And you think we'll be doing a post-game interview too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll swing out outside.
He's like, you can't look at that. I was like, I know. I think I really should do that. During the game, I'm telling you, that night was
I had a jam sesh with my dog this morning.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's funny.
We both just howled for about 5 minutes.
That's hilarious.
That's how rationalization.
I don't know if I should play solid or should just throw something random. What do you think? And just play off intuition.
It depends. Do you want to make him uncomfortable or do you want to make you uncomfortable?
That's true. The thing is, they studied all my stuff for like an hour. They know what I play as white.
Do you know any E4 stuff?
No. And I'd get destroyed if I played E4. I know for a fact. I know no theory.
Play C4. Play C4.
All right, valid. That's a good move.
C4, knight C3, G3, bishop G2.
I could play what I played against Eric.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I played D4, but then he played like G6, I think, or something like that. So I played a setup where it was like D4, C4, but then I played like it was almost like a Catalan. Okay. I'm gonna start. So.
All right.
Catch you on the flip side.
Yep. All right, guys. Welcome to the New Mexico State Championship. We are following along with Akko, Adrian A. And
no, just on behalf of New Mexico Chess, thank you so much. For those who don't know, last night we had 5 motions, all 5 passed unanimously.
and we're all just very excited for this to get started.
We're looking at senior and memorial because there's some extra sections, so 4 rounds of 90-30 would make sense for that.
And I'll shut up for a little bit to let this guy talk.
Very vocal people wanted 4 rounds of 90-30. So be prepared. If you have feedback on that, thoughts on that, it was 60-30 versus 90-30, please talk to us. Not like right this second.
But I'll be following along on this little board we got here. And I'll be making fun of Akko along the way, because I'm sure he'd appreciate it. It's cool that we can see the clock this time.
But some other people want to explore other function controls. So I will take a sheet of paper and put it over by the pairing sheets. If you're interested in that and you're out of the area or can get there, I'm thinking maybe Monday nights. And I'm also thinking of an online option.
Just checking out his pieces, making sure to look at their butts, the butts of the chess pieces, making sure they're all still there. It's a little bit strange, but people are strange. Let's see if I can't.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, game is starting. So I told Akko is white. I told Akko to play c4. So we'll see if he goes along something along those lines. But he wanted to throw people off because he didn't want people knowing what he was going to do. d4. So Akko plays a lot into these d4 setups. And the bishop being on g2 is not quite terrible. I'm assuming eventually he'll want to go c4 and open up the diagonal to unleash that bishop. If I had a guess as to what this opening was called, it would probably be some sort of Catalan, I'd imagine. But maybe white doesn't want to go c4 right away because we don't want to solve this issue that black has just created for itself with its bishop, its light squared bishop being boxed in at least that way, right? So the bishop will either wait for those pawns to be traded or find its home on a separate diagonal, which just so happens to be the one that white just left. So white's going to play c4, which jibes, I think, with trying to empower the bishop along the diagonal. This is very typical so far. Very, very Queen's Gambit-ish. Very Queen's Gambit-ish. So I think you very possibly could go knight f3 here. But I don't know if b5 is scary. So he goes bishop out. It's a good home for the bishop, and I wonder if black will try and hang on to that c4 pawn, which I'm not sure is an excellent idea, because I think the idea for white would be to go here and try and attack this c6 pawn. But I'm not quite sure what the with the idea for black. I mean, I know it's a decent line, and it kind of leads to this weird position where if black doesn't place bishop e7, where when he takes here the half open c file, there isn't this weak c7 pawn anymore. So but I'd imagine he'd just go knight f3 here. I'm curious as to curious as to how white might develop here. Interesting point here is that in taking, he's taken up a pawn, but he's lost one of his center pawns. He hasn't lost one of his center pawns, but it's moved out of the center, so it's not really a center pawn anymore. So maybe white might be looking to try and push e4 and let's see how much pressure he can try and exert on the center. Yeah, knight f3. Good moves so far. White is Adrian A, and black is Mateo at the moment. I think they played last time, and it was a whole debacle. That ended in a draw. Let's see if I can. We can zoom in on the position. Mateo is thinking here. Black has a couple of problems he wants to try and solve. And he's faced with several problems here in exchange for this pawn on c4, which is, hey, this bishop can't get out. And if it goes out the other way, there's potential weaknesses along the c file, I think is the idea here. So this is the right time here for Mateo to be thinking. I think black will probably just castle. And probably try and get a piece on d5. B5. Okay. B5. That is Mateo trying to hang on to that pawn. And it looks like Akko is challenging that pawn immediately. So these should be his ideas, right? So he should be able to push. I don't clearly remember the line, but I think the idea is that the c6 pawn is weak, and it's very hard to hang on to that pawn. So I'd imagine the threat here is just to take the pawn. So I'd imagine we're going to see b4. I think the knight might be able to go back to b1, maybe castles, and we might see this knight hop in here. But we're not all quite that certain at the moment. Yes. So where will the knight go? Can't go here, here, here. And I think if it goes here, that does not look super great. So like I said, if the knight tries to reroute, it will probably not find a home super quickly going that way. That's obnoxious. So I imagine he'll go here, where there's potentially more play here for the white knight. So let's wait and see. So this might be slightly uncomfortable because it looks like black has the initiative, or it looks like they get to make a lot of threats against white, like on this knight here. But the the flip side of all these space grabbing moves is that there's potential for some of these pawns to come under attack. When you make too many pawn moves in the beginning of the opening, it's almost like you can't defend all the land you just took with all the pawn moves. So the major imbalance here is black has developed two pieces, and arguably white has developed more. Yeah. So I think Akko is hoping that these pawns will become more of a nuisance for black, more targets than useful space gathering moves. $95. That makes sense. But where did black go? He castled. Black castled, and knight is in. It makes sense. And it double attacks the c4 pawn and puts pressure on the c6 pawn. So black will probably be forced to go queen b6 or queen c7. I would not go queen b6, as I'll go to the analysis board, because it allows white to retake with time or tempo. It's a forcing move on the queen. So I'd imagine we'll see queen c7 here. It doesn't look like Akko has spent much time on the clock, which tells me that black may be slightly uncomfortable with the position. It's not quite all that clear yet. Bishop a6. This should look strange. It protects this pawn, and the question should be: can white take this pawn on c6? Which I imagine he should. Though Bishop a6 is a very interesting move. Because it says, hey, I'm going to try and hang on to this space advantage, because after take, duck. These pawns are a little bit less of a weakness than they were in the position that I showed. And this variation. So Bishop a6 is a very interesting try here for Mateo. Bishop a6. I imagine it should just be okay to castle. Here is white. A potential worry here for black should be that, hey, you can't play a5 anymore. So maybe instead of taking with the knight, you take with the bishop first. Getting a tempo on the queen. And I don't know, maybe this is just okay for black. Or maybe you don't go bishop back. Maybe you want to try and make white's life a little bit difficult. This bishop might be a monster, though, so this actually doesn't look super fantastic. Bishop a6. This is black's attempt to try and hang on to the pawn. I'm sure Akko is considering whether or not he should take on c6, or whether or not it makes more sense to try and leave this pawn here as a way to discoordinate the rook later on from this c pawn. So maybe white should just castle and say, hey, that bishop on a6 isn't super great, and you're gonna have a pretty hard time trying to get all your pieces coordinated. Right, so it's not a super fantastic position, but I'd imagine we might just see white castle here. e3. I'm not sure about that move. e3. I mean, the issues are still there for black. These discoordination issues. These discoordination issues, right? Like, there's not a very neat home for this bishop. Like, you'd rather get rid of that pawn. You'd rather this, be off the board. But it's on c4. And you'd kind of rather you didn't have this c pawn that had a lot of pressure on it. And I mean, he can't necessarily go c3 because it's like you're just giving the pawn back. And these problems are still maintained here for black, which is like, where do my pieces go? So it seems a bit, regardless if I maybe think he should have castled, I think this kind of goes black into being like, hey, I've stopped you from castling for like half a second, but it ruins this very weird looking or at least maybe not weird looking, but words and stuff. I will be right back. I'm going to grab a coffee. Black's reply seems to have been, "Hey, Bishop, get out of town." And actually, it's a fairly decent question. Where's the bishop going? Goes back here, it'll get trapped. There's not a whole lot of compensation here for white, as any of those infiltration squares are not pleasant. So I think white might be forced to take here. But I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing, because I don't know. I think black wants this knight to go on d5, or at least a knight to go on d5, a little bit more than white wants to keep this bishop. So I do not see this as a wow. Knight takes. Hold on, I missed something. Take, bam. Now queen b7. Now queen c7. This is tricky. I don't like that. This seems to have simplified in a way that might be advantageous. for Black's coordination issues. Then again, I'm not at the board, and he's a bit of a better calculator than I am. But this still leaves White in this kind of open board, right? Like there are a lot of lines here for pieces. Let's say the rook or the rooks, just maybe meeting on the c8 or b8 squares. And there are a lot of open lines here. I'd imagine Black would like to keep the bishop, or White would like to keep the bishop. Or else this might turn out pretty bad for our buddy Akko. So probably bishop f4 here, I hope. And in this position, actually, if we look back a couple of moves, I was talking about how there was this coordination issue with Black here, right? And I was talking about how maybe White would find a new home for his light squared bishop. And it seems that these trades have made it slightly more comfortable for Black. So I don't know if this is a terribly awesome moment to be an Akko fan. But he definitely wants to retain that bishop on g5. Condescending prevention. Streamboo. That seems a little bit suspicious, Mr. Person. So let's please not let's please not put links into the chat. I'm not sure what the think here is about. I suppose. Wow. That doesn't feel great. Mm, what will Akko do about these this potential for a for him to just get steamrolled quite quickly? You'll have to cover up a lot of weaknesses with some pretty fast pawn moves. And he'll have this long-term issue of, hey, where do I put my pieces? So tough position here for white. I'd imagine the computer might agree with me. Yeah. This does not look great. This position does not look great at all. There are a lot of light squared weaknesses, right? And how to find a home for this knight so that the rook can get in the game. Very, very difficult. If only he played this way against me in the Quad City Classic. So we went knight d2, and black goes rook c8. It's part of this, hey, I'm trying to solve my problems over here, right? But the plans are simple. There's no way that white is going to castle queenside, right? So black will just try and protect his assets over here, and use this diagonal. So it is not. It may look equal materially, but an open position with a spatial asset on the queen side, this is not looking good for Akko. Unless black, for some reason, gives away his bishop, maybe. But I don't know why he would, because I think black has typically made reasonable positional moves here. So yeah, I think Akko's sweating bullets here. It's like, how did this happen? Rook c1. And I think it'll literally be okay. He did not castle. I want him to castle. We want rook c1. I suppose he's just trying to put a stomp on the c3 advance, but black can do it anyways. Right, and that bishop is a killer on a6. I needed to go over to the analysis board. Rook c1, maybe just c3, right? And the king is stuck in the middle. And this knight will have to move. So it is not looking too good for Mr. Akko. In case anybody's wondering why I just think black is way better here, it's because the bishop can go swing from one side of the board to the other. And this knight, if it were to say try and get to the most powerful position on the board for itself, it would need a couple of moves to do it. So if the board were a bit more closed, let's say if there were a pawn on d5, this bishop would be looking a lot weaker than it would in this position where it's kind of supporting its passed pawn and all that jam. So black is just very comfortable here. Very comfortable. Very comfortable. His rook c8 move is making a whole lot of sense too right now. If he queen f5, queen f5, that's an interesting idea. What is the idea? This light squared thing will not evaporate on us terribly quickly. This idea might be something like this. Not that. Where black is getting mated, or black is doing the mating. Might be the idea. Queen f5 is a good move because it's trying to creep into those light squared weaknesses. And white is very uncomfortable right now. So this should be putting white on the back foot a lot here. This is very different from the game they played a couple of weeks ago, which was a lot more even keel than this one. I think white has made a few positional errors. It's just very hard to get yourself back in the game. Like where's the counterplay for white? Right? You want it's hard to find. I know Jeremy Silman almost speaks of it as your pieces are employed. They seek employment, right? And these pawns are employed, and they're trying to get a promotion to a queen, right? And these pieces right here are employed to defend against that. So these pieces are tied up here, and it's very hard for the queen or this H rook to find active employment. And when a side becomes inactive, it's going to be very hard to climb out of that, right? Because it gives the initiative over to the side with active coordination and active employment of pieces. So like a bad move that could be played here for black would, let's say he does do that, would be this, right? Because then the knight would suddenly be a little bit more lively. It's still not great, but the knight can firmly hold off those pawns, so that this rook would be free to find work elsewhere, if that's making any sense. But that's just if black were to make a bad move and if it were to be. A bad move on whomever's part. Thank you for the 3 viewers who are watching on YouTube and Twitch. We appreciate you. And we're rooting for a miracle here for Mr. Achu, Mr. Akko. All of us are hoping for a miracle. I think it's sinking in here just how passive White's position has become. For Mr. Akko. Not looking great for White here. White is very passive, and there are a lot of open light squares for Black to invade. Black should be careful not to give White any counter chances, but this is not looking very good. Hard to find a move here for White. hard to find a move here for white. And like I was just saying, passive pieces, open light squares. White has a hard time finding work for his pieces. He made this mistake, and I'll fix the screen so that it looks less silly. So if we were to look back, E3 maybe wasn't so great. Maybe should have just castled here. Let's see what else. And I don't think these trades were good for him. I think this may have been okay, but white needs castled so he can get some pressure over on these pawns. Or else it's not great. But this just seems very lost. The thread has been lost, so to speak. Hence the big time sink that Akko has driven himself into. Black has superior mobility with his pieces and can go all over the board. Just needs to find the right way to pressure white's positional light square weaknesses and passive pieces. You'd almost kind of like the knight to be here. Interestingly enough. If only that's how chess worked, right? I think this wasn't necessarily a bad tactical game by Akko. I think he just overlooked how these longer lasting weaknesses will really come up and bite him in the butt. The weaknesses being the light squared weaknesses, right? He has to move a pawn or else he will even that. Right? And white wants to get castled, but he can't. He cannot. Where's Nico? He must have slept in. I don't know where he's at. It's very difficult to solo commentate, by the way. in case you haven't figured that out. I'm nowhere near as funny as I am without a co-commentator. Is what I've figured out. How's the wedding coming along, TJ? It is too bad, but you know what's even worse? He beat me in a correspondence game the other day, which I told him was a warm-up. Knight B1. This is not looking great. A lot of passivity from the home team here. Knight on D2 is at least pressuring C4, and now it's just very, very passive. Awesome. That's good to hear, TJ. Akko is white. If I can go through the game fairly quickly, I can show you where I think he made a couple of mistakes. I think it was fine. Maybe bishop g5 wasn't great, but it didn't seem like a mistake or an inaccuracy either. And I thought even this was okay. Yeah, the bishop is very active and very scary. This doesn't feel great for white. But I was also thinking, hey, maybe there's compensation with the discoordination that this pawn causes all of black's pieces. So we were hoping for some of that. Bishop goes to a6. I thought e3 wasn't. The Catalan is very hard to play. E3 felt weakening. And I don't think the trades helped the home team, because I think it just helped black's assets look a little bit better and more active, right? And I think the last big mistake was he shouldn't have taken on f6. Because like it's his only active piece. Yeah. And here it just looks very passive, right? No pieces out, lots of light square weaknesses, open board. It does not look very good. Queen f5 and knight b1. Why not knight takes? Where? It's kind of the, well, you maintain the light squared, right? Your light squares aren't as weak because you've maintained this bishop, but I think black might just take. And I'm not sure if white really wants to take there. Right? Should have kept the light squared bishop, but I think if knight takes, you're just that's why e3 and bishop g5 felt like weird moves. I'm not quite sure where the bishop is supposed to go elsewise, though. Yeah. E3 felt weird. You almost kind of want this bishop right there. I don't know where the dark square bishop's supposed to go. And I don't know if e5 should have been allowed. I think the line here actually is supposed to be queen a4. No, that hangs the pawn. Knight f... I think it might be knight f3 then. Because of c6. Right? I think. But I'm not all the way sure. I'm not all the way sure about theory, but I think knight f3 is the move instead of knight c3 and bishop g5. Both were maybe usually dark square bishop can take that knight in these positions. I agree. Because we don't want to give him that d5 square super easily, right? We want to make him waste a couple of tempi. I think that do you agree that when he took the knight off the board after all these trades that probably wasn't all that great? Like keeping this light squared bishop? Now that I look at it, it still doesn't look all that great. A lot of lingering problems here for... Excuse me. Not queen f3. Knight b1. Queen a5. For black? That looks nice, but it's blocked by its own pawns. Where? This just looks crushing for black. The dark squared bishop, right? That's the mistake in playing e3, right? It creates a lot of... When you move a pawn, it can't go back, right? And it makes it so that you have to... It's very weakening. So maybe e3 was the cause of all of his anguish. The comments are lagging. Yeah. It's a bad dark squared bishop. I think you can take on f6. I just don't think you can go e3. right? Because there's this long term and short term, like, how are these pieces coordinating together? And like it creates very, very big issues. I expect pawn takes. Yep. Threatening c2. I don't know if the game will go on much longer. Yeah, this looks very lost. Queen c2. Maybe just even rook b8, rook b2, right? Because you're like, okay, I've occupied 3 of your pieces. So let's... He goes rook b8. Yeah, it's just way too passive, I think. Rook b8 played by black. I'd go queen b3 first. Here? When the pawn's on c3, or before rook b8? Wow. He is going to lose a rook. Bam. Check. King f2. Then that allows c2, doesn't it? I'd imagine we're going to see Akko resign here in a little bit. Knight d2. Rook c3. Yeah. Doesn't look great. Rook takes is pretty cool, though. Thank you, TJ. Have fun at the wedding. Get one of Akko's friends for the next round. We'll see if we can coordinate all that. Or else people are just stuck with me. I will be right back. I would not be surprised if Akko decided to throw in the towel here. If he takes the rook with his queen, queen will take the rook on c3. Queen take queen on c3, and you'll go rook b1 and pick up the rook on h1. Pretty nasty stuff. Pretty nasty stuff. Not great. Not great here for Mr. Akko. And he resigns. This will be an interesting post-game interview. I wonder if he knows what went wrong here. Good game by Mateo. Very positionally strong game by Mateo. And I'll ask him I'll ask Akko if he knew any of the errors he made here. We're just gonna wait on Akko. He'll give us a very nice interview. Very nice. Very nice. I'm sure he's just trying to find a quiet spot to go through the game with us. You there,
I
Rocco?
am. Yes, I am.
That was rough.
That was indeed rough. Oh,
I
that was a
I
rough ending.
here's the thing though.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
you made. I don't think you made any big tactical mistakes. I think you made
Mm-hmm.
a couple of big positional mistakes.
Mm.
How
That makes
do
sense.
you think you like, where do you think you started to falter?
I'm gonna have to say. Hold on, give me 1 sec.
Sure. Add to the stream.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, I just had to disconnect from the Wi-Fi because I was getting a little spotty. Honestly, I probably faltered from the beginning. I probably shouldn't have played like a Catalan setup with something I'm not familiar with. But I
The
did want to throw
Catalan's
him
really
off.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did end up getting my pawn back, which I was happy about, but he kept mounting pressure on that side, and I'm like, oh, those 2 pawns are just kept marching onward.
I was wondering, and can you see the analysis board?
Yeah, I can see it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, I don't know book moves, so I don't know if moves are bad or not.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you should have went like knight c3 is
Mm-hmm.
probably not a bad move.
Yeah.
But it can potentially give him tempos when he does what he does. C6,
Yeah. Yep.
b5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if this knight's here, he doesn't get a tempo with b4. And bishop g5 seemed kind of weird. Like, probably also perfectly fine, but and knight f3 also seems okay. But like, typically when you see this structure as white, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I can get my knight in and I can make him really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um,
The other thing I did,
a4 seemed weird.
yeah, I should have probably played that before to prevent b5 is what I was thinking. And instead of playing bishop g5, probably played a4 right away. As soon as c6 came on the board, I'm like, see, I didn't know if this is similar to what it would be like in a queen's gambit.
I think it is. I think the theory is very similar.
Okay.
But the knight c3, it's kind of like the queen's gambit accepted.
Yeah, that's true.
Which isn't something that a lot of people go through. So,
yeah.
So it's fair to be very uncomfortable with the lines, but like after b5, it already gets a little bit weird and funky, right?
Yep.
And I was saying around this point that this isn't a great move to have to make knight b1, because it's like your pieces are kind of passive.
Getting like pushed back. Yeah.
They become really passively employed pieces, right? Knight e5 is a move, I think. I think right here I was looking at like queen c7, but I was not looking at bishop a6.
Okay.
And here I was hoping you were going to castle.
No.
And I felt like e3 was, it didn't feel great, especially if you trade off this bishop.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Lots of light squared weaknesses. So when you moved there, I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I didn't really know the thought process behind it, right? I mean, I guess you're trying to close this bishop down if.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted have a protected like d4 pawn, because I was gonna plan to move my queen to like c2 and start attacking on the light square pawns. But in order to move my queen off that, so that his queen doesn't take my d4 pawn, I was like, oh, let me play e3 real quick to defend it. So that was my thought behind it. But yeah, I probably should have castled here first. It was funny. Somebody said yesterday that like if you're thinking about castling, or if you have a feeling you have to castle, you should probably castle. So
yeah,
I might have to take that.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
And
Why wasn't? Oh, the other thing. Oh, no, never mind. No, because now I played E3, so now it becomes an issue. So now castling definitely becomes an issue
yeah,
because there's
yeah,
always a
yeah, yeah,
discovered attack on my
yeah.
rook. So that's
E3 also kind of closes in this bishop, and I think what I was looking at here, as the kind of trump card that you have,
hmm
is these pieces don't look very great.
hmm
I
That's what I
mean,
was hoping for. Was
maybe this will look better, like, because I think I was like, it would kind of look better if this pawn was gone, right?
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Um, and this knight is a big pain in the tuchus because
hmm
it's making it so that you can't coordinate your pieces very well. But there's also
Yeah.
some slight discoordination with the bishop
Mhm.
on g5 and
Yeah.
how light on squares it'll become, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep,
it's
that's
like
true.
he goes h6, something like that, and it's like, okay, suddenly there's not pressure there,
Yeah. Well, when you
and I'm
did
not
go
sure you want to keep
h6, I
going.
did, I did play bishop takes first because I wanted to get rid of there.
I thought after e3, that you would
hmm
not positionally want to get rid of.
The light squared.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I thought you had one more move here that, I mean, I think it was forced anyways. But like your bishop on g5 is your only active piece.
hmm
So it's like maybe bishop f4, g5, bishop e5, knight d7, and you're
Okay.
not going to keep the bishop anyways, right? Because if
hmm
you go bishop here, you'll,
Yeah,
right?
I saw all
So
those.
like,
I'm like, great.
but it's this thing where it's like, okay, you're kind of activating his pieces at some point, right? That c pawn on
hmm
c6
Yeah.
makes it so that if his rook comes here, that it won't be
hmm
able to. And you kind of want your rook over here as well, right?
Yeah, that's
So it's
true.
like
Yeah.
get castled. Don't make his bishop stronger than it would be. So like
Yeah.
don't go
Yeah.
e3.
Yep.
E3 felt
Got it.
slightly weird.
Safety first, and then bring rook over to like e1, and then I could probably later
It,
play like, yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I don't know if this sounds like a post game interview or if it sounds like I'm grilling you a little bit.
No, I need both anyways. So yeah, because I need to remember this stuff, and I mean this is the first time I ever played like Catalan like setup, so obviously I'm just not well versed into this.
Yeah.
I should study some of those top games because I know like Hikaru loves to play Catalan. But there's just it's so odd because you are giving up a pawn, but you're giving that light squared bishop a wrong diagonal. So
Mm-hmm.
it's there's compensation for that. So yeah, I'll look into that because it is kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. Even though I got crushed here, I did enjoy the game personally.
It it,
It was different than what my usual Queen's Gambit where I just played solidly, and I was
yeah.
just like, oh, I'm just gonna play what I normally play. But today I was like, oh, let me change it up. So
I I I only looked at the computer at the point at which I was like, this doesn't look very comfortable at all.
yeah, what did it say?
And I think around here, I
hmm
was like, the light square weaknesses looked really bad, and
Yeah,
there's a lot of easy coordination that black can do with the rooks, and I think it said
yep,
like -2 around here. Yeah, -2
yeah,
and
-2.
-3.
Jeez, minus
Um,
three. What was the
and
point of equality? Just out of curiosity.
good question. So like, I
Okay,
uh,
right around here. Okay, yeah, let's go back to bishop g5 because maybe that's probably what it was. Okay, so takes, and it immediately flips. So maybe it wasn't the best move. Here, what if I played a4? Is that still giving me like equality, or is it gonna flip on him? Let's see. No, it still flips. I wonder what it is then.
I just don't know if it likes the knight right there. Maybe it'll. Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Okay.
And then I think maybe even something super silly like that would work. So
Let's
maybe
see
not
it.
that.
Nope. Wait, but it kind of like your 95 idea. No, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, the push. So
Right.
95 actually. Yeah, let me see that. So play it out real quick.
A4 takes away knight e5.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so now it's adding a defender. Yeah, that's nice.
Right.
Yep.
And there's that tactic.
Mm-hmm.
And if he doesn't respond to, like, maybe this.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty solid. I would just castle maybe here at this point.
And I don't think you can go b4 for some reason.
Would he just attack? Would I just attack the queen there? Is that what it would do?
I don't know.
Oh,
Well,
94.
it's saying knight here.
But
like, I think more so I could feel that the tide was maybe not in our favor after b5.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess the and I guess you don't want to go a4 because if he does push here, I don't know.
No, let's see.
It's saying this.
Okay.
Which makes a whole lot of sense, right? It's like a piece in the center. But yeah, like a4 kind of just gave him like a lot of space and pressure over here. And again, it's not losing, but it's like very hard to be active.
Yeah. Did it want knight to a2 here instead? Is that what it was looking for?
No, I'm sure not.
Yeah. Okay. What did it want?
Right, because he won't press. He might even go a5.
Yeah.
And like, there's not really any pressure anymore, right? It would be hard for the knight to get out.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Both knight retreats seemed like it made it worse. Is it a bishop takes?
Yes, I think.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And then you can play knight e4.
And it looks more active.
Yeah. So he probably, yeah. No, maybe here I would play knight e5 because now I'm gonna go for those pawns, or maybe it's castle first. We'll see. Okay.
Right. At some point, you want to stop moving pieces and get castled. But it was a lot of pawn moves. I think I was also saying. And we were thinking like, all right, eventually he'll make too many pawn moves, and in some way white might be more coordinated than black. But, but it was already very hard around here.
Yeah. I knew as soon as he pushed, like,
because like you have to find the bishop takes move.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure about that either. But the thing is, like, humanly, would you take back with the bishop or would you take with the G pawn?
Where?
Let's just say here. Yeah, I take bishop, or I take knight. Yeah. See, like, that's the correct move.
I would be okay with this, right? Because, and it's hard for him to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, you don't really want to do that. I don't know. Like, it's very easy to put pressure on this pawn now, right?
Yeah.
It's, or maybe even just queen there, right?
Oh yeah, because that's nice. Yep.
Yeah. But even I didn't see this bishop takes f6 move. So
Yeah, instead of bishop takes first, yeah, should keep the light square bishop. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at
I
TJ's
was
chats
also
from
thinking,
earlier.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Catalans are very difficult to play.
I'd like to learn it though, so I don't just stick with my d4. But it's like an offshoot. It's like it still plays off of d4. So, it's
But it's a d4 with a fiend kiddo.
I love d4. I mean e4. I know e4 can be strong, but I prefer playing d4. So yeah, it was funny. They were studying my my chess.com account for like an hour beforehand.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're like, I only ever play 2 moves when I play like Queen's Gambit, after a specific like response from black. So yeah, I was like, I just have to throw a curveball. I have to risk it here if I want a chance to win. Like they already know my regular prep. So I think what I'll do is I will maybe I might,
Gotta invest in some opening books.
yeah, maybe I'll look into a Catalan opening book. And maybe I'll just have a bot account so that they don't want to study me anymore. I'm like Lee chess. I definitely probably practice like the Catalan, but yeah, it's just Queen's Gambit is what I'm very solid and well versed in. But fianchettoing the bishop and going to that Catalan system is definitely interesting. It's probably something I'll look at. So, but yeah, it was a tough game, and I knew at some point I'm like, all my pieces are just so restricted that there's nothing I can really do. Yeah, as soon as e3.
There was only passive employment at some point. If we can make that metaphor where it's like, at some point you're like, this is a passive piece.
Yeah. Yep.
This is kind of passive. And it's like, maybe I'd like to keep his pieces passive, and maybe I don't want the pawn.
Yeah.
You kind of do want the pawn because it's like, I don't want to be down a pawn. But
let's see.
But at some point,
was castles then correct here then?
I'd imagine.
Don't tell me it's bishop's takes.
I
Bishop
was
takes
looking
knight.
at bishop takes too.
No. Okay.
No. It's already very difficult.
What did I do here? I played e3. Maybe knight. Yeah.
C3. Maybe not there.
Maybe back to b1. Attacking and defending the. Oh no! Why is that? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's really bad.
Maybe not.
I wonder what. Huh?
It's weird. It's weird already, right? Because like these pawns are make it very weird to develop normally.
Yeah. Yeah. This is Well, I'll definitely have to study this. I'll have to get an opening book for this because I do want to get into this system. I think this would be a good system to learn. Yeah. Well, it was okay. It was a good rematch. I was feeling fine up until I wasn't. But okay, yeah. So I just have to make sure I castle first, and then just keep putting pressure. So, okay. Well, I'll probably take a lunch break and I'll take a look at my analysis in between. So my
Okay.
next game is around. Let me see. Oh, where is
Probably
it?
in about like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think it's 2:30 your time. No, Nico.
No, Nico.
Okay. All
Um,
right, that sounds good. Let me see.
or at least I haven't heard back from him quite yet.
Oh, he just texted. Oh, I don't know when he texted. Tell me in for 2:30.
That's funny.
Okay, that works. Okay, cool. So we'll just send him the invite link again before the start of the next one. We could set up like 10, 30, 20 minutes, 15
Okay.
minutes before. Wow.
So I'll text him. Give us your email so we
Yeah, exactly.
can get you the link.
Mhm. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's it. I'll probably end the stream here, and then we'll see everybody else.